Alright, the paint has finally dried on the third coat on all the parts that I painted. I just finished a little bit of final degreasing on some parts, and I've finally gotten all the things I need for reassembly, all the greases and oils. So I'm ready to start putting everything back together. Oh, and just another thing, any of the surfaces that were critical that ended up with a little bit of paint on them, I just cleaned up with acetone again. Alright, I thought I'd quickly go over the different lubricants that I'm using and oils. So for the spots that I can't get with oil, like the inside of the cross slide and the chuck, I'm going to be using this general purpose grease. For the engine, the motor, it's got a very small oil port on it here. I'm just going to be using this household oil. It's not exactly meant for motors, but it does say it can work on them, so it should work. For things like the ways and the other parts, like the outside of that and that I don't want to corrode and I want to lubricate, I'll be using this bar and chain oil for a chainsaw. It's got tacking additive in it, so it'll stick to the ways and protect them. And for the spindle bearings and anything else that needs to be lubricated, any other moving parts, I'll be using this compressor oil. And it might seem like an odd choice. The reason I'm using it is because it's a very general ISO 68, and it's a non-detergent oil, which means that it will not lift up any dirt or bits of metal or anything that's in there and carry them with it. Detergent oils like motor oil are meant to be used with an oil filter. This is a non-detergent oil because air compressors don't have oil filters, so that's why I'm using this. So that's my lubricant. Alright, so I've put the oils into little bottles to make it easier. I've coated all the exposed metal on most things with a bit of bar oil, the ways, the carriage, and I just reinstalled the carriage and tightened it down. So the carriage is now installed. I'm going to have to put the lead screw back on before I can properly install the carriage, but I'm just kind of piecing things together bit by bit. I reassembled all the components of the tailstock, so I just got to put that on, put the headstock back on, reassemble the chuck, put some grease in there, grease and reassemble the cross slide, the lead screw. You know, this thing's coming back together pretty easy. Luckily I don't think I've lost any parts, and I remember how it went together. Alright, so the whole lathe is back together, ready to go. I put it back on this temporary mount that the old owner was using. I do plan to make a slightly better one out of steel, but this will do for the moment. So it does run. I've just tried it, however it's not very true, so I'm going to spend a bit of time truing it up. Unfortunately my dial indicator hasn't arrived yet, so I can't really true it up that well, but you know, enough to get it going. I think it's mostly the chuck isn't perfectly aligned, so I'm just gonna see what I can do about that. Just realized I didn't even show it running, so there she goes. Motor's running. I've got it on the slowest setting at the moment. As you can see, it's reasonably true, but it could be better. I'm going to see if I can take a cut with it. I've got a tool in the tool holder, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to film the first cut in case anything explodes. I might need both hands. Alright, so I've been playing around with the lathe a bit, and it does indeed work. Just been spinning a piece of steel I had lying around. Probably not the best idea to be starting with steel, but yeah, the motor's pretty big, it can handle it, so as you can see, I'm not sure if it's focused for a little while. She does cut. This is on the slowest speed I can run it. I have to turn the lead screw to the left to make it go forward, which is a bit counterintuitive as far as lefty-loosey, righty-tighty goes. I'm kind of just turning random shapes at the moment. Anyway, you can see the thing works quite well.